Hello, welcome to my channel. Today, I am going to show you how to create a Visual Studio SSIS package that imports data from an Excel file to the MySQL database server. This video is a continuation of the previous one. If you are not familiar with the basics of the data flow task, I recommend watching my earlier video first. The link is provided below. Now, let's open the SSIS package that we created previously. Select the .sln solution file and open it with Visual Studio 2019. Let's create a new package by right-click the SSIS packages folder at the right-hand side and select New SSIS package. Right-click the newly created package1.dts file and rename it as package.mysql.dts. Click Yes to all to allow the name changes. From now on, we will work exclusively on this new package. Therefore, we can close the previously opened package. Before we continue, let us check our ODBC setting first, because we are going to use the MySQL ODBC connection to connect to the MySQL server. Search ODBC in the Windows system and open the ODBC data source 32-bit editor. Why using 32-bit? It is because Visual Studio SSIS packages are supporting 32-bit drivers only currently. Click System DSN tab and see whether you have a MySQL ODBC 32-bit DSN created. If not, please create a 32-bit MySQL DSN for the following project to use. Click Config to edit the MySQL ODBC 32-bit DSN. Provide the user ID, password, and default database schema name, which is testDB in this example. Click Test to check the ODBC connection, and it works, and we are good to go. Note that we have a 64-bit DSN available, and later you will see the SSIS package will only pick the 32-bit DSN only. By the way, DSN stands for Data Source Name. Click OK to close the ODBC editor. Before we jump back to Visual Studio, let's also check the MySQL database. The MySQL schema is named testDB, and the data table to import the Excel file is named the sample dataset. The table properties show that the table has 4 columns. The first column is name, a varchar data type that holds 20 characters of string. The second one is age, a small integer and signed data type. The third column is weight, a float data type, and the fourth is birthday, a date data type. Please create a table like this one in your MySQL database if you like to follow along. Currently, I have a sample data record stored in this table. You don't need this sample data record, so you can ignore this record. Now, we are ready to jump back to the Visual Studio. At the Connection Managers pane, let's create a new connection, then look for the ODBC. And you can see that the SSIS package automatically picked the MySQL ODBC 32 DSN as the connection manager, even though I have a 64-bit DSN available. But anyway, 32-bit is the correct ODBC we want to use here. Click OK to create this connection manager. Right-click it and select Edit to double-check its settings. You see the password field is a blank. Click Test Connection, and it works. We don't need to provide a password here because we have already provided a password in the System DSN settings. If you enter the password here again, the connection test will fail, as you see here. So, clear up the password field and click Test Connection, and it shows it is working again. This is great. Click OK to close the Connection Manager editor. Now, drag a data flow task to the Control Flow pane. Right-click this new data flow task and select Edit to open it. Then, under the Other Sources section, drag an Excel source into the new data flow task. Right-click the new Excel source, double-click, or click Edit to open the Excel source editor. If you don't have an Excel connection manager ready to pick, click New to create the needed connection manager. Please watch my previous video on creating an Excel connection manager. I have an existing one ready. Therefore, the Excel source automatically pick up the one for me. We now are in the Excel source editor dialog box. The Excel sheet that holds the data table is named Sheet $1. Click Preview to see the data in the Excel file. 4 columns and 4 rows of data. Click Close and OK to close the Excel source editor. Now drag and drop a data conversion task to the data flow pane. Also drag the small blue-colored arrow under the Excel source to connect it with the data conversion task. Right-click the data conversion task, then select Edit to open the editor. Check the checkboxes to select the columns that need to be processed. Change the name field length to be 20 characters. Note that the output alias is called copy of name, copy of something. Now drag and drop an ODBC destination task to the data flow. Also connection the blue-colored arrow from data conversion task to the ODBC destination task. I also renamed the ODBC destination as MySQL ODBC destination. Right-click the MySQL ODBC destination, select Edit to open its editor. And it has automatically picked the correct ODBC connection manager for me. Therefore, I only need to pick the destination data table, which is sample dataset. When we click the View Existing Data, an error message pop up. It complains that we have an error in the SQL syntax. Anyway, let's check the column mapping. Let's redo the column mapping. We need to use the converted data columns, that is mapping the copy of so-and-so columns to their ODBC destination column. Click the OK to close the ODBC destination editor. Now, let's try to execute this data flow. And the task has failed. Based on my experience, there is something wrong with the data type and data conversion. For demonstration purposes, let me show you how to troubleshoot step by step. Now let's just insert one column at a time. The name column is a string data type. Usually has less problem to be inserted to the database. Therefore, let's edit the ODBC destination column mapping. We are going to ignore the other column and only keep the name column. Click OK to close it and execute the data flow again. Yes, wonderful. The name column and rows have been inserted into the MySQL database. You can double-check the results in the database. Now, let's open the ODBC destination editor again and add a few more columns to be inserted into the database. So, let's map copy of age to the age in the destination and copy of weight to the weight in the destination. Click OK to close the ODBC destination editor and execute the data flow. And the result is a success. We can double-check the results in the database. Therefore, we know the problem is in the birthday column's date field data conversion problem. Therefore, open the data conversion editor and try to select a correct conversion method for the birthday field. Let's try the database date dt_db date. Click OK to close the editor and execute the data flow task again. We got a successful outcome. This is wonderful. We can double-check the results in the database again. By the way, I have deleted the back records from the previous insertions. Therefore, the dataset you see here is the good dataset just got inserted successfully. I've just demonstrated how we can set up an SSIS package that import data from an Excel file to MySQL database through an ODBC connection. I also demonstrated the possible errors and how to troubleshoot the errors we may encounter along the process. I hope that you enjoy the video, and if you have questions or suggestions, drop a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button if this was helpful. Thank you for watching.